Good afternoon, everyone. It's on behalf of CEPA. It's very privileged to be here for the presentation regarding the CEPA's update in terms of the environment and conservation governance. So basically, this presentation that I will be highlighting is not only for the mining and petroleum, but the general investment opportunities. Apologize on behalf of CEPA Managing Director, Mr. Jude Tukulia, and the Minister for not making to Sydney for this meeting. Basically, the presentation I will be talking to you about the CEPA governance and in relation to environment and conservation, but I'll just short highlights of 6 only in terms of the major operations of CEPA, of running of CEPA, the major achievements and reforms so far for this year, 2024, and I'll be also been talking more on environment protection law, as well as the opportunities for as per the current collaboration with other government stakeholders, as well as upcoming environment protection activities for next year, and then also highlight on ongoing and future challenges under CEPA. Basically, as you all know, some who may not understand the operation of CEPA basically have two operations, but we have the CEPA Act. So basically, the first is the Environment Act, which is basically the implementation of the environmental protection services in relation to any development project in the country. So that is under our Environment Act. That's the principal act governing in terms of the environment permit, in terms of the environment impact assessment, in terms of the environment compliance, in terms of the environment investigation, and so on. So CEPA also responsible for the international chemical agreements in relation to Basic Convention in terms of the transboundary movement of hazardous waste, Stockholm Convention in terms of the hazardous chemicals, Minamata Convention in relation to the use of mercury, and so on, in terms of the multilateral environment agreements. Secondly, is sustainable environment programs. It's just more like conservation. So we now have the Protected Area Act 2023, which replaced the Conservation Areas Act 1978 and National Parks Act 1977. So these are main conservation legislation. So that's part of our CEPA's commitment to the MTDP in terms of increase of number of protected areas by 10%. So that basically also complement the effort of climate change initiatives in terms of the forest preservation. So that's different from the environment protection. Sorry, different from the Environment Act. Lastly, CEPA Act 2014, that basically relates to the running of the operation. So the CEPA Act 2014 relates to the Managing Director of CEPA, which is also referred to as the Director of Environment, issued under Section 16 of the Environment Act. Going forward, CEPA have to have visibility over all the environment regulation of all the developments. So that going forward for CEPA under the current management, with the leadership support from Minister Honorable Simo Kilipa. Under this major achievement and reforms under our current management, with the political direction from the Minister So far, between 2023 last year and 2024, including myself, I've been appointed to oversee the environment protection renewables. There are two environment protection services for your information. One is environment protection renewables, which I am responsible for the agriculture, forestry, logging, power, energy, pinch ports, roads, and so on, including the International Convention on Chemicals and Waste Management. On the other hand, environment protection non-renewables. These are responsible for the oil and gas and mining. Protected Area Act, so far, that bill that already been approved by the Parliament last year. It's just pending the official gazetted from the Governor General for the bill, the act to become formal enacted. It's a directive from the Prime Ministers that Honorable Simu Kilepa directed the CEPA, Managing Director, to ensure that the regular and timely inspection of major mines operating in the country. As you all know, Pogera mine, due to claims of the environmental damage, investigation have been completed. Still waiting for the NEC to determine, deliberate on going forward. Successful, it's called Kikali Amendment to refrigeration system, air conditioning system, heating system, cooling systems. So by January 2025, CEPA, with collaboration with the PNG Customs, we will stop any input of particular ODS or origin depleted substance called R22. This is one of the substances will contribute to the climate change in GHG as well as the origin depleting substance. Waste oil, due to a particular case involving where Papua New Guinea through CEPA have been fined for the international liability involving the illegal shipment of waste oil, which in the form of mislabeled and misinterpreted particular consignments where CEPA in terms of the consent. So there are a lot of consents being issued without proper analysis of the particular the waste oil that's been spotted out of Papua New Guinea. So under that current management, we have been able to come up with a strategy, whereby under the Basic Convention, that is international agreement in the form of non-legislative framework. So far, we've been able to come up with a program to comply with the Basic Convention, that if we fail to come up with that program, then it will result in international trade between Papua New Guinea in terms of the trade between Indonesia and Singapore. So far, we've been able to come up with that program so that Papua New Guinea is safe in terms of allowing the trade between the waters of Papua New Guinea, Singapore, and Indonesia. For your information, the CEPA Environment Act 2000 has been amended as of May this year, 2024, which is worded as Environment Act Amended 2014. So that they are getting new provisions of under the Environment Act, which allow for the visibility for CEPA to have the control and regulations of the development project, including mining, oil and gas, and others. So far, CEPA also contributes to the government coffers through the collection of the environmental permit fees. So CEPA also operates as one of the entity of consolidated revenue fund. So we also contribute to generation of the revenues for the country. Environment Council is now or became active after the 2 years. No Environment Council. So basically, Environment Council is only for the major project. That is level 3. I will highlight on the difference between level 1, level 2, and level 3. So Environment Council is basically deliberating for major environmental impact that is under level 3. For example, Feeder River Mine, Papua LNG. So currently subject to assessment under Environment Council. As you heard about the COVID-19 and this and so on, we've been able to participate into the agreement part of the 4 government authorities, that is the Department of Health, Department of Agriculture, NACIA, and CEPA, to come up with that One Health in Papua New Guinea. Moving on, environment protection law, just to highlight the understanding of the environment permit, environmental impact assessment, and environment compliance, and environment investigation. So that environment protection law, I thought to highlight easier understanding. Environment protection law covers different regulations. So that regulations were elements of the Environment Act relate to the permit policy, environment permits, environment management, water resources, financial provisions, and enforcement. So that were supported by the regulations. The regulations for prescribed activities. Prescribed activities is those activities that must be environmentally permitted. Those activities that have high or low or medium environment impacts. Environment management fees regulation for permit fee, annual permit fee. When you have environment permit, annual permit fee charge. When you apply for environment permit, an application fee is facilitated. So and then goes on, environmental water quality regulation 2002, as well as the environment registration of hazardous contaminants, which relate to hazardous waste or stockholm chemicals, as well as the ODS, hodden depleted substance. The overview of the environment permit application. I mentioned earlier about level 2, level 1, level 2, and level 3. So there are different processes. So all developments, including drilling of oil and wells, or mineral exploration involving drilling at a depth of 2,500 meters, or apply for the development license, or for hydropower project involving 5 megawatt. These are all subject to this process, but depending on the impact of the environment. The impact where environment is very high, go to the level 3. Impact where is manageable but medium to high, level 2. No impact, level 1. For example, solar power. So these are processes where when apply for environment permit, we will determine the level of activity depending on the impact, not on the actual cost of works, based on the impact of environment that caused by the development, specific development, like for agriculture, logging, or and so on. So that process. But in terms of the time frame vary in terms of the permit application process. Level 3 is maximum 6 months. But level 2 activity, 3 months. Level 1 activity, those activities without environment permit. Little prescribed activities, like for example, hydropower involving more than 200 megawatt for the case of Edevu, Pinju Ports, Motike, and Leh Lateral Basin, all come under level 2, level 3 respectively. Also, add on, the lowest, the impact level is under level 2 is 2.1. The highest impact under level 3 is 3.4. They come with very varying environment management strategies, environment permit conditions, and so on. In terms of the fee, the lowest fee for 2.1 is 7,766. The fee for 3.4 is 1 million. That the illustration of from permit application, when you have a permit compliance, and then what happens when subject to when non-compliant areas or some environment pollution incident happening, environment investigation, enforcement. That's how that environment permit system should work. So under the current management, we are trying to improve the environmental permit system. And that's the challenge for CEPA. So we want to have this to improve, especially the monitoring and regulation of permits, as well as the compliance inspection. In most cases, the environment permit compliance, sometimes we use the environment management fees regulation 2015, which allow for the permit holder to bear the cost based on the approved work plan for CEPA to conduct the permit inspections 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 2 times a year, 3 times a year, so that depending on the environmental impact. Continue on, just to highlight the opportunity that CEPA undertake collaboration with respective government stakeholders. Department of Finance, in terms of the implementation of the non-tax revenue, MRA ongoing system where CEPA process is part of the MRA license system. Likewise, Department of Petroleum. For National Energy Authority, CEPA is very pleased to be part of the National Renewable Energy Policies formulation and then come to validation, where CEPA will work with the National Energy Authority based on the classification of the different activities, like for hydropower, 0 to 5 megawatt, it should be level 1, or it should be level 2, or it should be level 3. Likewise for solar farm, if it's more than 5 megawatt, it should be level 1. For geothermal, if it is of 50 megawatt, or depending on the location of the hot springs, or where physical significance of the environment should be subject to level 3, so on. So we've been able to work with National Energy Authority for CEPA to update the prescribed activities so that any development that come to or any renewable energy should be based on the impacts, not the cost of work. Move on, Department of Works, Connect PNG. So CEPA tries to involve Connect PNG roads as part of the environment regulation. So that's a challenge which we try to involve all the development roads under environment regulation. National Fisheries Authority, NFA have involved CEPA as part of the technical steering committee, where we can be able to contribute inputs in particularly Pacific, PMLJ, Pacific Marine. For your information, under Department of Lands and Physical Planning Board, now they have a new requirement. Any building structures, whether in the capital or within Ley City or in Medan, CEPA consent must be obtained. That the requirement now undertaken by the Department of Lands. Positively, CEPA will be having MOU with PNG Customs, and we looking forward for working together. It will be a historical event in terms of MOU with Customs. Department of Health, Pinchuport Comprehensive Environmental Management Plan. Bank of Papua New Guinea, CEPA, because of the logging activities, we try to involve Bank of Papua New Guinea in terms of the environmental crime in relation to wildlife trade, illegal wildlife, and so on. MVIL, in terms of the vehicles, in relation to Stockholm Convention, the hazardous chemicals from the vehicles, like in Port Moresby, where outdated vehicles and so on, which contribute from the vehicle exhaust emissions. Come to the last part, upcoming activities. CEPA will be looking forward to have that. Environment audit for all industries. We haven't done environment audit. Yes, so we thought that we'll increase our environment audit protocol and programs across the industries. CEPA will be looking at having a regional workshop, conference, Environment Council deliberations. Understand that 2024 have been deliberating on major mines. But for 2025, we'll be looking at the review of all the environment permit operations for logging activities. Pinji Customs CEPA MOU. National Waste Management Policy 2024 and 2034. Just last week, we've been able to receive the support, the letter from the Department of National Planning with the contribution from the JICA, Japanese, through the PIP of 2 million kina. So that way we will use that National Waste Management Policy 2024 to help increase that infrastructure for waste management facility, particularly in Ley, in Kokopo, Alatau, and Korka. Environment regulation updates. We'll be having the regulations for Basel regulation, Stockholm regulation, Mercury, the updated prescribed activities 2000 bills, and the permit process, and undertaking the permit review of major permit operations, Pinju Power, Pinju Ports, New Britain Palm Oil Limited, forestry operations, and so on. Ongoing and future challenges. Turnaround time for permit application, so we try as much as possible to reduce that. With the permit application process, because we have six staff managing 500 environment permits. That's a challenge for us. So that's why we have a limited time, limited resources to conduct the permit inspections. So we hope that around application process must be efficiently processed on time. Environment Council deliberations, hopefully that major review for all the permit operations for logging activities, for hydropower, for agriculture and other activities. Implementation of the environment management fees. It's very hard to tell the permit holder to pay up. For those that the permit holders we haven't paid for like say 2 years or 3 years, we'll have to issue that fee notice to pay up. If you don't pay up, we issue the suspension of the environment permit, or we will ask the Bank of Papua New Guinea to freeze the accounts. So that's the challenge for CEPA that we want to address on. And then environment permit compliance activities, as well as the engagement of independent consultants. We have the capacity issues, so we need that independent consultant to help us to review the technical assessment of the different environment impact associated with development activities. Environment enforcement investigation. That's a challenge for us. For one person, if the logging operation or particular permit holder cover for the officers for that, may constitute the conflict of interest. So we thought that CEPA must be fully resourced to conduct the independent permit compliance. CEPA also governs the hydrological and water resource. So we intend to have this so that we take stock of the water resource around the country. Wildlife trade enforcement and technical standards. So this technical standard, CEPA will be applying the technical standard, which is one of the new provisions under the Environment Act 2014. So this technical standard will be used as a code of practice. And then going forward, working collaboration with Pinchico. Thank you.